Right. Welcome to today's episode. We have a very exciting guest, Lawrence Selevan, CEO and chairman of Chesterfield Faring. Thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to meet you, Megan, and nice to have this conversation.
Of course. So, any audience member that's just tuning in for the first time, we are Stravix, a company that helps financial firms and investors and real estate operators scale revenue and operate more efficiently. So, if you're looking to take your business to the next level, make sure to stick around. And also, if you're interested in a free growth consultation, just drop the word growth in the DMs below or let us know. So, Lawrence, once again, we're super thrilled to have you today. Why don't you just give us a little bit of background and kind of walk us through your personal and professional journey?
Sure. So I started a long time ago in 1976. The first 30 years of my career, I spent learning and absorbing everything I could before I went out and started my own firm. I had a couple of firms on my own with partners, but the final firm I did, Chesterfield, is now almost 20 years old, and I've owned 100%. And if you could do that without partners, it always seems to work better because you can make decisions a lot quicker unless you're schizophrenic and have multiple personalities. But usually, as one person, it's pretty easy to make decisions as fast as you need to. So it's proved very well for me. Our firm did about 8 billion in restructuring of commercial real estate debt in the last cycle. A lot of it was CMBS loans. We're one of the top professionals in that industry. We have about 500 million right now of multifamily value add that went sideways that we're doing workouts, both financial and operational right now. We're about to launch the first multi-asset tokenization platform. And whenever I mention the word tokenization, people kind of glaze. One of my mentors, I mentioned earlier, I had mentors, was Sam Zell. He died a couple of years ago, but I asked Sam if he wanted to get involved. And he said it was above his pay grade, which means your traditional real estate person doesn't want to get out of their safety box, that it's very hard for them to want to get outside their comfort zone. People have been talking about tokenization for a little less than a decade, but nobody's been able to execute yet. We should be live by October, and we put the best of breed people into our platform with us. So, like our CFO is Blair Eschner. Blair was a financial person and CFO for Sam Zell and a number of his entities over the years. For those that don't know who Sam Zell was, he was an incredible entrepreneur. The Zell-Lurie Institute at University of Michigan was named after him, and it's to promote entrepreneurs. And Sam accumulated about a $6 billion net worth, creating equity office that he sold to Blackstone for $39 billion. And he also did equity residential, which is still one of the largest REITs in the US. But he also did a lot of corporate repositionings and restructurings, and he was quite successful. In any case, I learned a lot from him, and we built quite a portfolio up. And we'll be placing a number of our assets in this tokenization platform in the next 3 or 4 months. And we hope that people go look at it. It'll be on the platform called T0. And T0 is owned by ICE, and ICE owns another company called the New York Stock Exchange. So they're a very credible platform. We have the best accountant for digital assets, a guy named Steve Baum at what's Marcom/CBiz, which is a large boutique accounting firm. And then we have a specialist in digital assets by the name of Bull Chain, which just by its name, they're doing digital assets. So with all that together, we'll be public. We'll be traded on that exchange. We'll be fully regulated by the SEC. And the few tokenizations you've seen, most of them are non-regulated. They're just like crypto in the sense that you don't know what's really behind them. And ours being fully regulated, we plan to be the next generation of a product similar to public REITs. Now, there's a couple unique features about tokenization. One is in our tokenization, at least, we're not making any distributions. Every dollar that we earn, every dollar that we raise will be used to buy more assets and grow the platform as fast as we can. Our goal is to compound the wealth effect of the tokens every year by growing our asset base and growing the value of the assets we have under management. All of the employees, including myself, a majority of their pay is in tokens and not in cash. So we don't deplete very much cash in the operation. So every dollar we're using in cash is being used to buy more assets. And if you look back at like the 5 families in New York that buy real estate, What they've always done is they never sell. They buy, they refinance, they use those proceeds to buy more assets, then they refinance. They never seem to sell an asset unless the asset is just doesn't fit their portfolio anymore. But typically they're just constantly buying assets. And that's the only way you grow real wealth in real estate. It takes longer than other businesses, but it has an incredible compounding effect if
Mhm.
you do it right. And that's what we plan to do.
Yeah.
Please make it any questions.
Well, that was great. I think that was a great walkthrough. Thank you very much. I want to hop to the present here. I know every day probably looks a little bit different, but kind of walk us through what a typical day to day would look like for you.
I usually have between 50 and 100 lenders coming to us to participate in deals or doing deals with them or wanting us to borrow money from them. We do a lot of debt investment ourselves, not just in distressed debt, but normal debt, hard money debt, bridge loans, all that. We get 10 to 15 referrals a day from people that have worked with us in the past or friends of theirs that need us to help them with their problem situations. And anything slightly esoteric, we get reached out for. And then we have certain projects that we have ongoing conversations every day. We have one project in Bogota, Colombia. It's a $1.2 billion tower that we're the financial advisors and the visionary for the project called client. And we're negotiating with some very top end hotels to take the top floors. We have the Nederlander organization wanting to do a 5,000 seat theater inside the property. And it's really more an entertainment complex. The smallest component, ironically, is the office part of the building. Everything else is larger. We have a number of floors of retail. We have a number of very high end restaurants. We have the hotels. We have the residences. And then we have resident penthouses for sale. So it will be a very interesting project. There'll be a privately licensed casino for high rollers in the property. It's going to be extremely high end project. That's just one example. But one of the things I try and do, but I can't always do every day, is accept new invitations on LinkedIn. And then if I see somebody interesting, try and LinkedIn. That's usually every couple days. And I'm now up to 25,000 followers without even thought. So that's always a good place to start if you're younger and get starting your business. I would give young people the same recommendations that I got when I was young. That is, whatever field of inquiry or industry you plan to go into, try and specialize. Start by specializing in a niche and become the expert in that niche. And then once you get respected for knowing everything about that niche business, then you can expand and go into other businesses. Try and follow in businesses that either other people don't understand or in businesses that are highly neglected and overlooked. For example, when I first got into business, my father was a Francophile antique dealer and art collector. And all of his friends were antique dealers and collectors. And they were all looking for big mansions to buy. So I specialized in restoring antiquated mansions. And that was such a specialized field. I had literally no competition. And that let me grow into converting offices and warehouses into residential way before post COVID. I was doing this in the 70s. So you find that niche and you stick to it. The second is try and find at least 3 mentors to guide you the way and be what I call a sponge. Try and absorb every piece of information you can and try and assemble it in a way that gives you a competitive edge to anyone else you're doing in business.
Yeah, 100%. That is some amazing advice. I completely agree with the niche and, becoming specialty in whatever you want and then scaling from there, right?
Yeah.
100%.
The
Okay.
other thing I would say is never, there's nothing impossible in this world you can't do. Just have to have that positive attitude. I'll tell you a cute story, Megan. When I was a kid, I sold Fuller brush door to door. I was making the money of a grown man, and my brother, who was off to college, wanted to learn how to do it. I was 16 at the time. And I said, great. So we go down, and I train him for about 15 minutes. He goes down the right side of the street. I go down the left. We get to the end of the cul-de-sac and I asked him, how did you do? He said, no sales. And he said, how did you do? I said, I made 4 sales. And his reply to that was, I don't get it. How did you do that? And I said, what do you mean? How did you pick the good side of the street? Is what he said. So it just shows you it's all about attitude.
Yes.
And if you have a positive attitude, as all you young people have heard, assume the sale. If you do that, most often people do it. The other thing amazing, if you nod, a lot more people say yes. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, it's better than blank face, right?
Right.
Oh, exactly. I mean, I love attentive listening. People always say that's why I love doing this. People are always like, "It really sounds like you're listening to me," but I'm not just here head nodding, you know? I listen to everything, I take it all in. I get so, like, tunnel vision into what people are saying. It's definitely a characteristic, but love everything you're saying, Lawrence. Kinda wanna move forward a little bit with where you're seeing your company in the next 6 to 12 months. Do you guys have any big goals for the future? I know you mentioned some big projects coming up, but anything else you'd like to mention?
Yeah, so the tokenization is going to take a little while of our time. We have about 150 million of direct assets under management.
Mhm,
So each couple of months, we're going to be putting another asset in and growing the portfolio.
mhm,
And then with our reach, we have about $1 billion a year of deal flow that comes through our offices. We'll be able to look at a lot more than acquire a lot more because we have a lot more cash at hand
mhm.
with this platform. One of the things we do like to do is look at esoteric assets that people either overlook or don't understand how to underwrite.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so something I like asking everyone as well is any goals you have for the future. If you could have a magic wand or a genie just grant one wish that can fix whatever's stopping you from getting to that goal, what would that one thing be? Is there anything
More
holding you
time.
guys back? Time.
More time, and I would assume everyone tells you that. The one luxury I don't have is time.
Why is
No
that?
one does. You gotta use every single minute. But that does bring me to something really interesting. So when I was 30, I was working for a billionaire, and he was about 65 at the time. And I thought to myself for a second, would I give up 35 years of my life for his $1 billion today? It didn't take me more than a couple of seconds to say, hell no, I'd rather live those 35 years and even die broke than
Yeah,
be worth $1 billion and give up 35 years of my life. So if you keep that in mind every day, you enjoy every moment of your way getting there, whatever you're going to get to. But it doesn't matter how much money you make. As you always hear from other people, it's the journey. It's not the end goal.
exactly. Yeah, I really resonate with that. I love that. Thank you so much.
Always have one more than one source of income if you can.
Mhm,
Always have more than one interest in your life. Try and have some diversity.
mhm.
Being a monotone person isn't that interesting. For example, one of the other things I do is I paint. You can go to my painting website, lawrenceselevanpainter.com, and my art is really something else.
Is
And
that yours in the background?
no, that was from one of my gallery mates. You can't see it that well, but it's really inspiring.
Beautiful.
It shows a Mexican family trying to cross the border, and there's like a little teddy bear at the time showing that they've left their childhood behind and they're trying to get into America.
Wow,
But it's a really nice painting.
very beautiful.
If you go to the website, you'll see them there. They're based off of street art, and my friends call it Keith Haring on acid because they're very colorful.
Wow, wow, that's amazing.
Okay. So, but you should have more than one interest in life. And the other key is always have someone supportive in your life, supporting your goals and moving forward. That's always important. Having a partner is a good thing.
Yep,
And that's the other thing is never turn down advice, never turn down help because you never know when you'll need it and it won't be there.
100%. Yeah. Well, I will definitely link your painting in the bio below, your painting website. And just kind of to wrap things up, I always like doing this as well. You said a lot of inspiring things, but if there's anyone who's trying to break into the industry, say a young entrepreneur, is there any like quote you like to go by? Do you have a favorite quote? Do you have any small words of advice to them at all? Just a good send off?
I'll tell you, to be an excellent entrepreneur takes a lot of different skill sets. And if you don't have them, you're better off working for an institution.
Hmm.
And one of the most important assets, and they're in combination, is persistence and patience.
Hmm.
If you don't have those two elements, you're better off. And you need instant gratification, you're much better off working for someone else than trying to do it yourself. If you have the persistence and the patience, and then you have the ambition, will, and driving force, you can do just about anything. And stay focused on your goals, and you'll get there.
That's
I mean, in 15 minutes, I can't, explain the secrets of the universe, at least in the business world. But that's a good start
yeah.
for people that are looking for that. I've taken about 3 or 4 mentees under my wing because when I went to Sam Zell's Memorial, I thought I was one out of a few people that were being mentored by Sam, and it ended up he had hundreds.
Oh,
So that's the other thing. Always try and give it back.
yeah.
Give back the blessings that you get in life.
Good back. I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Lawrence. I think we had an amazing conversation.
Yeah. One last thing I'd like to say, which I found to be true, is I've met some of the wealthiest, most amazing people in the world, and the higher they are in life, the nicer they are. It's not what you think, but it's really true. And so you should never be intimidated by anyone that you meet because you'll end up finding they're actually nicer than you thought they would.
Amazing. That's good to hear. Not a lot of people meet those people, so
Yeah.
for source income. Well, thank you so much again. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Megan.